Okay, so now this question comes like what are functional scope and what is a block scope? Now, as you can see, right? So in JavaScript, the whole document, right? So the whole coding platform, wherever you are doing the coding, say for example, it is in the front end in the browser or in the Node.js. So whatever you are doing in that, the whole document is the global scope. Okay, so global scope means like it's a space, a global space where everything is defined. Now inside that there are small spaces, right? So it's just like your house. So you have a big house with your balcony and all the small rooms are there. Then you have a big garden and all. So all those things are coming under the global scope, that is your house. Now inside that there are small scopes. That means if you are having a bedroom, then bed will be there only, and if you are having a bathroom, then all of your bathing necessary stuff and all those will be in bathroom. So all those things that are in bedroom cannot go into bathroom, and similarly it cannot happen vice versa. So that is what scopes. So scopes are basically spaces uh, inside this global scope. So now local scope in JavaScript. So first, wherever there is a function, right? So inside that function, whatever is being defined inside that function, so those are called local scope. That means those variables or whatever expressions you are using, variables or functions that you are defining inside a function, that cannot be used outside the function. So it can only be used inside that function, right? So that is called local scope. So that is the local scope of that function. Now there comes two major scopes, that is function scope and a block scope. So when there is a variable defined inside a function, then it will be only accessible within that function and cannot be used outside that function. So this is called function scope. So that's what happens if you have defined some variable inside a function, you cannot access that from outside of that function, right? So that is what function scope. Now comes block scope. So blocks are what? In JavaScript, blocks are basically denoted by curly braces. So whenever there is you write something between two curly braces. So where you use curly brace, just like in for loop, while loop, or simply a function is also written inside a curly braces. So all those things are block scope. So inside block scope, if you define a variable or in if or for or switch conditions, all those things, then these are only accessible inside that block scope. Okay. Okay. Now we'll come to next question. What is shallow copy and what is deep copy? Okay. So deep copy means, so when you copy something, say for example there is a value in a variable. Now we need to copy that into another variable. So we need to just replicate that particular thing into another variable. Now there are two kinds of copies of that. So if we copy that, like all the values you copy one by one, then so that the copied thing, right, the duplicated stuff, the newer one doesn't have any connection to the older one. So even if you, so newer one becomes completely a new variable or an object, so that even if you change something in new one, that doesn't get reflected in the old one. Okay, so it doesn't have any connection with the old one. So that is what deep copy. That means you have to go deep and copy each and every value of that. Now what is shallow copy? Shallow copy is when you copy the thing into a new variable, but it still gets connected to the older one. Okay, so that when you change something in the new one, then those changes are reflected in the old variable as well. So how does it actually work? Let's give an example. Okay, so here is also a coding example, you can check that, but let's see how exactly it happens. Okay, so this is again happening because I haven't cleared it, so I'll just create another one. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll create a simple object. Okay, so let give me 1 second. Okay, so let original. Okay, so in original I have only two things: Roy, name as Roy, and credit as 1000. Okay, only these two things are there. Now if I need to copy this guy into a copy, then what I'll do is, let's say I create a copied object. I create a variable naming this, and I just equal to this guy. If I do that, what will happen? So this thing is copied into this. Now we'll just console.log. So we'll just console.log copied object. What happens? Let's see. So credit and name is coming just like this. Now let's see if we do update the credit of this guy, equal to 2000. I make it 2000. Okay, I updated the copied object's credit into 2000, and let me just console log the original ones now. Okay, so here after updating it, so I'll just remove this guy. So after updating the copied object's credit into 2000, I am consoling the original. So we are changing the copied object, right? But I am just consoling the original. Let's see what happens. So we are just changing the copied object. So the intention is not to change anything in the original. It should be as it is. So if I run it, see, I am consoling logging the original, but the credit is becoming 2000 in there as well. So this is what shallow copy means. That means even though we have created a copied object from the original, it still is connected to the original. So whenever I am changing any value of that, it is getting changed in the original as well, which is not our intention, but as this is copied via a shallow copy method, that's why it is doing that. Now how can we overcome this issue? So in order to overcome this issue, what we have to do is, we have to two ways are there. Either what we can do is, we have to one by one these values we have to assign. So what we can do is basically, so here rather than doing directly equal, we'll just create a new object in here, and here I'll put name as original dot name, then same credit as original dot credit. Okay, name as original dot name, credit as original dot credit. Okay, now I clear. Now I am just updating the copied object one, and then console logging. Let's see what happens. So see, now if I copy it, so this copy has happened through this kind of methodology, and now if I update the credit of that copied object, then it only changes the copied object, doesn't change the original, because the credit remains 1000. So this is what deep copy means. Okay, so another way of doing the deep copy is using the spread operator. So that is like this. So you can name, and what you have to do is you have to use this spread operator original. So that's all. It will do the needed stuff. But I think this is not ES6 basically. This is just the JavaScript, right? So this is only available in ES6. So you can do only when ES6 is available. Okay. Okay. So that was shallow copy and deep copy. Now let's see the difference between map and filter. Okay. So math and filter are like here the code is also there. So as you can see, so this is bit big code, so I'll just copy it and show you what happens here. So let me just explain it. So map method, what it does is basically when you have a object, right? Object, sorry, an array you have. So what you can do is basically when you run the map method over that array, okay, so each and every element of that array are passed to an function, and whatever you return from that function gets into a separate array. So by using map you can create a new array from that array. On the new array you can have all those values of the old array mutated or changed or updated. Okay, so just like using legacy, in legacy what we do is we can use a for loop, and inside the for loop we do changes and all, and then we create a new array. But map basically provides a syntactical sugar to that. Similarly, filter is also a function which is only meant for array. What it does is, it basically, as the name suggests, it filters the array by using some expressions. So just like map, filter also goes over all the elements of that array, but filter using a particular expression, it filters out all the elements that basically matches that particular expression and creates an array with only those elements which are matching that. So that's what. So we'll see the example of that. Okay. So in JSpin only I'll go and I'll write down a program which will tell you exactly what is a map or what is a filter. So let me create a variable first, which will be which will be an array of numbers. So this will be like 3, 5, 8, 9, 10. So as you can see in this one, so we have 3, 5, 8, 9, 10. So what we will do is basically first we will see what does map function do. So so I'll define another variable called b equal to a dot map. So inside map, what I'll do is basically like this. So what map function does is, map function has a function inside it. Okay, so in this function, for each element it will come in here, so and that will go in a loop. So here I'll just put as element, so or data. So data will be in on each loop, it will be like 3, 5, 8, 9, 10 like that. Okay, so and here I'll just return the data with by multiplying 2. Okay, so that's all. So what I'm trying to do is, I have an a which is an array. Inside that I have several numbers, 5 numbers to be precise, and in the b variable what I'm storing is, I am doing a using the map function a dot map. Inside that I am just doubling it up, doubling each numbers and storing it inside b. So if I run it, before that I'll just console log b, and I'll just run it. Let's see what happens. So see, what it is doing is, it has just double each elements of this particular array. So 3 has become 6, then 5 has become 10, then 8 has become 16, 18 and 20. So map is used when you want to update or run an operation on each elements of an array. Okay, so that is map. Now we'll talk about the filter. So let's say from this particular array I want to create an array by filtering out some of the elements from this array. So what I can do is, so say for example from this array I want to make I want to get only the elements that are divisible by 2, that are even basically. Okay, so what I have to do is a dot filter, same syntax as the map function. So here I have to just keep a function like this, and inside this again my element will come, and here what I have to do is I have to return data percentage 2 equal to 0. See, so what I'm doing is, whatever the elements are, I'm just doing the modulus, By doing that, I am checking whether it is completely divisible by 2 or not. If it is divisible by 2, that means it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay, and so I am getting all the even numbers. If there are even numbers, that will come inside C. So I'll just print C here. Okay, so I'll clear it and run it. So see, only the even numbers are coming here, 8 and 10. So 8 and 10 are coming in here inside C. So filter is used when you want to create a subset of an array by using some kind of expression or by using some kind of a filtering operation on that. And map is used when you want to run a particular operation on each elements of that array. Okay, that is what filter and map are. So now we'll go for the math built-in JavaScript object math. So math is a built-in JavaScript object which is present in all the global scope, and it will be present in Node.js as well as in the browser as well. So it is presented from before only. It's an utility object. So inside that many function and many constant values are available. Like say for example, as you can see in the code itself, right? Code example. So you have the Euler's number is there, then pi, value of pi is there. Then if you want to round off something, right? Say for example, you have a number like 10.12, then you want to round it off, then you can round it off using math.round. So these, like ceiling also you can do, floor also you can do trunk also. So some of the some and most of the arithmetic operations and all the utility functions are already provided in math object in JavaScript. So those can be used whenever it is needed. Okay. So now we will talk about ES6. So ES6 is the short form of ECMAScript 2015. It is also called as ES6. So this is a major version revision to JavaScript basically. So JavaScript was already running from a long time, and there have been some very interesting updates to JavaScript, right? So in order to make our lives simpler and easy, so that's why there have been some shortcomings to the language as well, which are being revisioned by new techniques. So some of the features of ES6 are like late and constant keywords. So as you know, late is a block level block scoped this thing, the variable creation technique, and constant is a you can create constants using that, so that you cannot so if you define something by using const keyword, it cannot be changed later. Okay. So next is arrow functions. As you know, this is a new kind of syntax to create functions. So arrow function looks like this. So here you see this is an arrow function basically. So normal function definition, if it is like I'll just show you one definition. Normal function definition would be like function. You have to write function, then function name, I'll write fname, then like this you have to write the function. But arrow function will be like just this particular thing, and that's all. You have to write the function body in here. So this is what arrow function is. Also there are multi-line strings. So previously if you want to make multi-line strings, means you have to create like this. You have to create something like first line, then you cannot go in the next line. If you go there, then it will be an error, right? So that's why what you have to do is first line, then you have to do a /n, then second line, like that you have to write. But as we have got a new thing that is called multi-line strings, so in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to use this particular syntax. So rather than using the quotation mark, you have to use this particular character, and inside that you can give as many line breaks as you want, so it will continue up to that. Okay. Now there comes template literals. So template literals are basically, previously if you wanted to create so inside a string, if you want to create add a variable inside a strings, then how can you do it? So like this variable, like that you have to put, and then after that plus, then like C, if I want to put C here, then I have to do like this variable plus C. But now it is like how can you do is so here you have to put the same this character from before as I have shown, and then what you can do is here you have to, whenever there is a variable, you can create like this. So you can keep the variable inside this, curly braces and a dollar. That means the variable will come in here. So inside the string itself you can define the variable so that it is easier to manage. So these are called template literals. Then there comes classes. So basically classes are needed in Java and other object oriented programming languages, but in JavaScript there are none. JavaScript was is a actually functional programming, right? So that's why we needed some of the oops concept in JavaScript. That's why classes are introduced in JavaScript. So here by using classes you can define and data structure and all, which caters to the object oriented properties. Okay. Now we'll go to the difference between TypeScript and JavaScript. So JavaScript has been there from a long time, right? And JavaScript was developed having the client-side programming as the primary reason, right? But sooner or later we have got the Node.js and all, and backend also it is doing fantastic, right? So when we are doing backend coding, backend programming using JavaScript and all, then we needed to use some of the oops concepts, some of the type definition concepts and all inside JavaScript, just like Java and all. So that's why we needed something something more resilient and all. So that's why TypeScript came into picture. So TypeScript gave us this particular object-oriented programming capabilities to JavaScript. Then TypeScript became the superset of JavaScript. So TypeScript has everything of JavaScript plus some more things, while JavaScript is a scripting language and a functional programming language itself. TypeScript has a feature known as static typing. That means it is very typed system. That means in JavaScript what happens is whenever you define a variable, the type definition is not required. Whether the variable is boolean or string, it doesn't matter. And you can have a variable having a value of string, then you can later assign a integer to that. So those things were possible, and being JavaScript very flexible, right? That's why those are very much possible. But by introducing TypeScript, right, it was made to ensure that there is no this kind of scenarios where the data types gets changed and all. TypeScript supports interfaces, but JavaScript does not. Also TypeScript supports classes and all, which JavaScript doesn't. But in ECMAScript it is there. TypeScript is converted into JavaScript code to be understandable for browsers. So there is a compiler which converts JavaScript into TypeScript into JavaScript so that it can be understood by the browsers. Otherwise, directly TypeScript cannot be used in browsers, or directly it cannot be interpreted by browsers. Now TypeScript also supports modules, generics and interfaces to define data, which is not there in JavaScript. TypeScript so advantages of TypeScript over JavaScript is like it always points out compilation errors. So if there are some errors in the code, right? So what happens in JavaScript is you will get some error thrown while runtime, but TypeScript you will get the error in the compilation time itself. Also it supports very strong typing, right? That means the data types and all are always ensured to be kept proper. So TypeScript at last it is like TypeScript is nothing but JavaScript and some more features which will enable you to use the object-oriented properties for JavaScript, as well as some more security and maintainability in mind.